everybody. Thank you so much for coming. So, as you can see, most of the people here know me, and as a reward for that, they're letting me do 15 minutes. I do not have that much time, so we're going to be doing this together, okay? And I'd also like to apologize in advance to my mom, my aunt, and my brother. You're going to hear some things tonight that will trouble you. For sure. Okay. That being said, I come from a big pet family. We had a ton of them growing up. We had dogs, birds, fish, geckos. We even had a pair of turtles named Pedro and Teresa who died while crossing the street, which now feels like a political statement. We also had, you can sit with it. We also had so many hamsters, which was dope. I love hamsters. They're so cute and fluffy and low maintenance, and they introduce kids to the concept of death in such a chill way. Like, when a dog dies, it's devastating, but when a hamster dies, it's kind of like when a DJ dies. It's sad, but is it surprising? So my parents didn't really supervise us when we played with our hamsters, which was a mistake because they'd all escape and then end up suffocating to death somewhere inside of the walls. And when they didn't asphyxiate, one of our many other pets ate them. So little guys could not catch a break. And my mother, she had this sort of weird ritual for when they died. She'd take their body, wrap them up in paper towel, stuff them in a Ziploc, and then just shove them in the freezer for months on end, like she was the fucking Jeffrey Dahmer of hamsters. Anytime I wanted ice cream and I have to dig around Ashley the hamster's corpse to get it, which was a great appetite suppressor. Honestly, I'm just glad that our dogs were too big for her to stuff in there. This place could have turned into a real pet cemetery. But in her defense, she only did it because she wanted to bury them in the spring when the ground was softer, which was actually super gracious. And, you know, she wanted to give them a proper Christian burial, which they deserved. They experienced a lot of grief on earth. The least you could do is give them a proper Christian burial so they wouldn't end up in hamster hell, just getting shoved in and out of Richard Gere for eternity. I'm not actually religious, but I'm a big fan of astrology. I don't understand it, but I'm gay, so I love anything having to do with space. Because space is gay, if you didn't know. Or the moon is, at least. And before you disagree, let me state some facts. 1, the moon is versatile as fuck. She serves more looks than a season of RuPaul's Drag Race. I mean, waning crescent, blood moon, blue corn moon, the sun could literally never. 2, the moon is completely erratic, like every gay person. Sometimes she's full, sometimes she's nowhere to be seen, sometimes she's out at the same time as the sun just for the drama. 3, the study of the moon is called selenography, which is just a shorthand way of referring to Selena Gomez's discography. And 4, this is the last one, I swear. The moon was discovered by Galileo. Galileo is also the name of a song by the Indigo Girls, who are documented lesbians. Proof the moon is gay. I look forward to this topic now. The sun, straight as hell. He's hot. He's in your face. He ages you from a distance. One day, he's gonna make the planet uninhabitable for all of us. Sounds a lot like a straight man, right? As you may have been able to guess, I don't really have many straight male friends, which is fine. We've canceled them as a culture. But I did have a lot of male friends growing up. I, grew up in a neighborhood with only straight boys around, so I came of age in a very heterosexual environment. And I was always clearly the gay one in my friend group. We were all just too young to really notice or care at first, but the signs were there. Like when we played Mario Party, they'd all fight over who could be Mario or Yoshi, and I'd automatically be Princess Peach, even when my friend's little sister wanted to play. You think I was about to let some Honey Boo Boo looking 6-year-old play such an iconic royal? Absolutely not. She got to be Donkey Kong. The differences between us became a little bit more obvious when we moved on to more physical games, like wrestling. I was the only one volunteering to wear spandex or be put in a chokehold, which has honestly prepared me more for adulthood than any math class. I would say, though, that my peak gayness was when we played with action figures. I'd only play with the girl toys, and I'd spend the entire game coming up with these romantic subplots that the other boys did not give a fuck about. So they'd have this dramatic scene going on, main characters dying left and right, and then I, would just pop my little gay head in and be like, why don't we take a beat and see what Samantha's up to at home? Like, their story was the Avengers, and my story was also the Avengers, but if it had been directed by Greta Gerwig. Just imagine that would be beautiful. So I stopped playing with them when they moved on to more, mature games like Grand Theft Auto, which, if you've never played it, Grand Theft Auto is basically The Sims for men who shouldn't be allowed to purchase a handgun. So they play the game by drag racing around town, blowing up businesses with bazookas, beating hookers to death. And I would play by driving around at the speed limit, befriending said hookers. Which was apparently not the way to play, but I had seen Pretty Woman. I wasn't gonna pistol whip Julia Roberts. And now, when I hear about some straight guy committing some terrible act of violence, because it's always a straight guy, I can't help but wonder if violent video games are at all to blame. I mean, how can we not expect boys to become violent when the two ends of their video game spectrum are killing hookers and Pokemon, which is just dogfighting for nerds? Honestly, I just feel so blessed that I quit video games and spent my formative teen years watching Mean Girls on a loop. I learned how to be violent with my words instead. Far more productive. So, I'm not a very sexual person. This is where it comes in, Mom. I've only had sex with 3 guys. 18 if you count oral, but only my doctor does. My friends are way more sexually experienced than I am, though. My best friend has had sex with over 200 guys. And my other friend has carried more loads than a cryobank. But I'm not like that. I approach sex the way Rihanna approaches making albums. I don't. But I feel like there's these expectations that gay guys should be super sexual. Guys on Grindr will send me pictures of their massive dicks and be like, you want to take this? And I'm like, oh my god, take it where? All my love to the walking men out there, but I'm not looking for someone to feng shui my intestines. And there are definitely greater expectations for gay men when it comes to sex. Straight men are only expected to do missionary and doggy style. They're not even expected to do it well. But if I'm not comfortable treating some guy's butt like a puppet, I'm kink shaming. Like the other day, some guy messaged me asking me to punch his hole like it was my own personal punching bag. And apparently, that's tame. I am trying to be more open and adventurous, though. I just had my first anonymous hookup. I had sex with some guy I didn't know in a hotel, which was which was hot. It was hot and definitely not weird. What is weird is that I did do it the day after watching Don't Fuck with Cats. Has anyone seen that? Yeah. If you haven't seen it, it's this documentary series about this psychopath who kills a bunch of cats, plot twist, and then he murders some poor guy he meets off Craigslist in a hotel room. You know your survival instinct is bad when you hear about a guy getting murdered by a stranger in a hotel room, and your immediate next thought is, I should meet up with a stranger in a hotel room. And I didn't approach it in like any smart way. I didn't tell my roommates where I was going or what I was doing. I actually said that I was just getting coffee, so he could have totally murdered me. But he didn't, and it was great. He was actually super nice and cute and funny, and I don't know why, but I really trusted him. I put my faith in his hands, and he put his hands around my neck and choked me. Which requires a lot of trust. And more than that, I let him put his fingers in my mouth. And it's like, I have no idea where those fingers have been. He was a stranger. So, I'm single. I think it's just a laugh. I date a lot though. I've actually gone on 50 first dates. And I know it's 50 because I turn every guy I go out with into a Horcrux. So you're gonna have to kill a bunch of white guys named Dan if you want to get rid of me. I've actually though been going out with international guys a lot recently. And they're from like the coolest places. Japan, Korea, Italy, Worcester. I'm like a gay Epcot, just a port of entry open to everyone. Oh, actually, that's a gay Ellis Island. I got my references. I'm also like a gay Epcot, in the sense that I am an American destination full of international attractions. I don't really know why I'm so into international guys. It's not like I travel much. Growing up, my mom's idea of Asian food was adding soy sauce to rice pilaf. And speaking of Asian, one time I asked my little sister how many Koreas there were, and she said 3. Because, you know, North Korea, South Korea, and Korea. And I was truly the only one who knew she was wrong. But I'm not perfect, though. I'm not perfect. Recently, I went out with this gorgeous Harvard MBA student. He looks like a racially ambiguous Groucho Marx. and he had this beautiful accent. So I was like, where are you from? And he was like, guess. Which is never a safe question to ask an American person. So I was like, and he was like, okay, I'll make it easier. It's somewhere between Greece and Turkey. Which, plot twist, did not make it easier. Because now I had to pretend like I knew where any of those places were. Which I didn't, because I am a white boy from Beverly, Massachusetts, not a fucking cartographer. I only recently discovered that, like, Georgia was a country. Every time I saw a headline that was like, Russia and Georgia tensions rise, I just assumed Putin was feuding with one of the Real Housewives of New Jersey, like probably Nene Leakes. So anyways, he finally told me to guess, and I guessed Israel, which I guess is nowhere near Lebanon, but in my defense, borders are a social construct, and we're all from one world. You guys have been great tonight. I'm